I feel better already. Yeah. So of course we have a special shrine to Tara here. Um, and some people have continued even doing the 21 Tara practice on a regular basis here, which I really appreciate, showing up and doing Tara practice. I just have I just have one tattoo, and the Tara mantra tattoo. So it reminds me to do. So very happy to be here today. I'm going to be a little bit scholarly because like this year to talk about what's called the paths and grounds. So how we traverse the Bodhisattva path specifically, and give my own commentary, which I hope isn't too confusing. So the text I'll be referring to today, the translation with commentary of the Abhisamaya Lankara of Maitreya. And I don't know if the camera, what camera do we have? Which one? This one. So let's see. In English, it's the Ornament of Clear Realization, which is a key text which is studied in our tradition and forms the basis of talking about the 5 paths and the 10 bhumis. And this translation's by it's been around a long time. I don't know how old he is now. So Karl Brunholzer. So he's been translating for many years, and they say he's reliable. I know a few people are studying Tibetan and the Sangha, so you'd have to tell me whether it's reliable or not. Probably. And actually the commentary that goes along with it is from Pato Rinpoche's tradition. And then you'll get a bit of mine. So let's see. It's a very thick book, so it should last a year. So it starts out with Pato Rinpoche's definitions and the topics. So why do we start out with definitions? Because generally people believe they're talking about the same thing when they're not. Do you agree? So, I'd like to read the minor marks of the Buddha, and the major marks. So generally texts start out, this is coming at the end, but generally they start out praising the Buddha like we did for our prayers just now. And it's our goal to have the same body as the Buddha. So that doesn't mean you will grow all these things on your body, but this is a magical emanation body, so that we can go where any suffering is through the power of our vision, and we need a special kind of body to do that. Are you ready? The actual marks. It is marked with wheels on hands and feet and has tortoise-like feet. Fingers and toes are joined by webs. Hands and feet are soft and supple. The body has 7 convex surfaces, long fingers, broad heels, and is tall and straight. It has non-protruding ankles, body hairs that point upward, antelope-like calves, long and beautiful arms, and is the supreme of those whose sexual organ is covered by a sheath. The skin has a golden hue and is delicate. It has well-grown body hairs, and each one single by itself and curling to the right. The face is adorned with the urna hair, and the upper body is lion-like. It has evenly rounded shoulders with compact flesh in between. An even unpleasant taste appears, the most delicious taste for it. Its figure has symmetrical proportions like the Nigroda tree. It has a Upanishad on the head, a large and beautiful tongue, a melodious voice like Brahma, jaws like a lion. Very white teeth of equal size, well arranged, and in a complete set of 40, dark blue eyes and eyelashes like those of a magnificent heifer. These are the 32 marks. Do you want to know the minor marks? Okay. But I should first say the causes that produce the marks. As for the causes that accomplish these respective marks, through completing them, these marks will be possessed in full. Escorting the gurus and so on, firmness with regard to vows, relying on the means of attraction, providing magnificent things, liberating those to be killed, undertaking and increasing virtue, and so on. These are the causes that accomplish these marks according to the sutras. Now the minor marks. The sage's nails are copper-colored, glossy, and prominent. His fingers and toes are rounded, compact, and tapering. His veins do not protrude and are free from knots. His ankles do not protrude, and his feet are equal in size. He walks with the stride of a lion, an elephant, a goose, and a lordly bull, and walks by keeping to the right side. Elegantly and upright, the limbs of his body are well-rounded, smooth, slender, clean, soft, and pure. His genitals are fully developed, and his figure is beautiful and stately. His steps are even, and his eyes are pure. His body is beautifully youthful, not sunken, with full flesh, and very firm. His limbs are well proportioned, and his vision is unobscured and pure. His belly is round, smooth, and unmarred, and slender. His navel is deep and winds to the right. He is beautiful to behold from all sides. His conduct is clean, and his body is free from black moles. He's been to Kaiser to get the, what's it, nitrogen? What is it? What is it? His hands are as soft as cotton wool, and the lines on his palms are glossy, deep, and extensive. His face is not too long, and his lips are red like a bimba berry. His tongue is supple, slender, and red. His voice is like thunder, sweet and gentle. His eye teeth are round, sharp, white, and equal in size, and tapering. His nose is prominent and supremely pure. His eyes are wide with well-developed eyelashes and like the petals of a lotus. His eyebrows are elongated, smooth, and shiny, and their hairs are of equal length. His arms are long and muscular, and his ears are equal and completely unimpaired. His forehead is well-shaped and broad, and his head is large. His hair is black as a black bee, thick, smooth, not shaggy. not unruly, and has this fragrant smell that captivates the mind of people. His hands and feet show endless knots and swastikas. These are held to be the minor marks of the Buddha. So when we're talking about the nature of mind, um, it's kind of scary because then we start thinking in the West like mentalistic, right? So when we're starting to do Mahayana training, we want to start with a real body that uh, we see before us, and also start with a Sambhogakaya body, an imaginary body. So the imaginary body is also connected with the Dharmakaya, the absolute truth body. So we have three: Dharmakaya, Sambhogakaya, Nirmanakaya. So when we look in the mirror will see, just me, like old guy with white hair, but my Sambhogakaya mind needs to see the marks of a Buddha, okay? So, and then the recognition nature of the mind needs to see it as exists through mere reflection, the wisdom mind. So when we're studying the Mahayana, particularly, it's important that we have this respect for the three kayas. It's called the three bodies, particularly for our Nirmanakaya, so that we, take care of our health and, exercise and eat our kale and not, so all that. But then on top of it, we have the Sambhogakaya vision of a sense of exalted and beautiful, right? So for our cats and dogs or elephant pets or whatever, we have a beautiful body, you see. So when our children are young, we have a beautiful body, right? So having that view is really important to study the profound grounds and paths. Otherwise, we're already starting with a place of rejection or dislike for our existence. So starting in the actual Mahayana is we're really delighted to be present in our current body and delighting in it. This also, of course, is a precursor of actual Tantra view of the body, to see that our body and the body of Buddha and the Yidam exist together, right? But if we're really going to do the Mahayana Bodhisattva path, we rejoice in our and see ourselves through a sense of joyful embodiment, right? We're not trying to separate mind from body, and we're not despising like this thing. And also our imaginal body, or we could say our view of, what our body looks like is purified through the different bhumis and the different grounds in the five paths. So we're not doing at this point thinking, oh, I have this imperfection, or I don't like my fat, or I don't like this or that. We're already starting out with, as a result of this practice, and even starting, may we start from the standpoint of rejoicing that we're doing the Mahayana practice and having these three bodies: the truth body, the enjoyment and communication body, and the actual manifestation body. Does that make sense? Yay. Because here we create this beautiful environment too, so we feel like which we actually are in a Pure Land. So most of the time, because of the practice I'm doing, we could be in any Pure Land, Tara's Pure Land in the Patala, or in Amitabha's Pure Land in Sukhavati. Most of my practice is I try to say, okay, I'm in Shambhala. And not only that, I'm in Kalapa court. So, with one of the Rixin kings or emperors. So this is a very sacred spot. So creating that sense of Pure Land, particularly for me, Shambhala and Kalapa court is important like that. So my old teacher called his center, or a centralist center, as he would say, in Pacific Grove. He said a Shambhala Mahayana Institute, like that. Isn't that nice? Yeah. The 5 paths and the 10 bhumis will take a while to go through, but I just want to give somewhat of a workable overview for you. We talked about the 5 paths last time, didn't we? Mm-hmm. There's different translations. Sometimes the first is called the path of accumulation, and then the path of preparation, then or joining, then the path of meditation, then the path of seeing, darshana marga, and then the path of no more learning. Does the last one sound attractive? Yeah, okay. So to bring this into our actual lived experience, I'm going to suggest that we look at the paths as an attempt to deliver the experience and the setup so that we can actually make a jump or a leap. The background to that is that the most difficult thing for teachers and students is not the laying out of steps or here's what you need to know or here's what you need to do, but how do you do it? So sometimes I drive people crazy by extending my arm and saying, do you know how you do this? So we can explain it. You can say, well, that's nerves, and you send a signal, and there are muscles, and you hear things, and you do things. But actually, from the lived experience side, do you know how you do this? Because otherwise, it's difficult to explain how we make a transformation, how we change things from destructive, silly habits to awake, helpful habits, isn't it? How do you do that? So we can say, here's what's necessary. Here's the structure. It's necessary to understand the path of the noble ones, the Eightfold Path of the noble ones. It's important to understand Four Noble Truths. It's add a little bit 5 paths and boom, all these numbers. But actually, how do you do it? How do you create that situation where you're actually doing it? So when we're depressed, or for example, we always say, I'm too depressed to meditate. Okay. So what do you do? the odd part is to start meditating, you actually have to do the opposite. So the way out of depression or the way out of a hole is to do the opposite. And then we can go, okay, great. But how come I'm not doing the opposite right now? The way out of addiction, or like just even drinking, is you stop, and then the rest of recovery is staying stopped and figuring out why you drank. But you don't figure out why you drank and then you stop. You just stop. Mm-hmm. So the problem in human beings is things are constantly changing, but we don't know how we got to one place from another, really. We don't even know how we got in the car and got here. We don't know who got here, and you don't know how you did it because it's all just like this. But the attempt of the inner practices and the lineage is to get us to an experiential place where we know how random change or traumatic change or no change is able to become transformation. We know how the lived experience actually works, so that we can develop ourselves and wake up. But it's very different than saying you need to know these skills and here's what it'll feel like you get there. It's the most difficult part is like, how do we actually get started? Do you agree? And then since we're doing difficult, habitual, addictive activities, how do you start? Or how do you start? How do you traverse? And how do you stop? We want you to actually have a non-conceptual direct knowing of that. Even with many of the sutra teachings and even tantra teachings, it tells you like, well, here's what you'll meet on the path. Here's I-80, here's David, here's how you get to San Francisco. But if you're lying in bed and depressed, you may have all the information, but you're not going to do it, right? So how do you get out of bed? How do you get out of the burning house? So the 5 paths are a way that teachers in the lineage have tried to evolve. So we let you inside the nature mind to see how it actually works. So the hint is jumping. That's like, I don't know, is there a game show where people get hints, right? No, Jeopardy is kind of a hint, is that right? A reverse hint. So, and Dzogchen, we say there's a leap over. And in Mahamudra, some of you should know from Tilopa's Ganji's Mahamudra, the Dharma of the leap. I hope you remember that. Dharma of the leap sounds familiar. So this, we're here, lineage teachers are here to help you on the diving board. So without the diving board, you can get this feeling of jumping, but we do give you a diving board, so you add a little extras. I don't know, what's it called? Spring. Yeah. Some fantastic beings uh, are able to jump without a diving board. And so, and sometimes we need to be fantastic beings. So the way you actually jump is you have to like kind of squat down a little bit first. Is that right? There's a phrase like if you want to jump high, you gotta go low, something. So the path of accumulation and the path of preparation is you're kind of getting low and feeling the spring in your legs. You're squatting a little bit to take the jump. You're at that jump almost place. And the preparation piece, path of next one, preparation is you're just right there on the edge, ready to jump. I passed up a trip to Italy 10 years ago to help buy the temple here, which certain people never let me forget. So I promised, okay, I'm going back to, okay, I'll make it to Florence. Okay. So in Florence, apparently, I've seen in pictures as this Michelangelo statue of David, right? So anybody seen it in person in Florence? Yeah. Oh, so, sometimes I read some commentary about how Michelangelo was trying to get that just before David was, locked in, just before he was going to throw, right? Like what Goliath, right? So hasn't thrown yet, but just like locked in. So that's that, we're in that path, right? So we want you to have that experience too. So you're getting ready and then it's clicked, so has a certain warrior feel to it, I think, I know, like for you Star Wars fans, like Luke is first one, the best one, is trying to lock in and then go and then locks in like that. Sorry for a Star Wars reference, just let it do it. And the path of seeing is the direct seeing of emptiness, seeing nature of mind and reality, and that's you're launched. That magical thing where one moment you're on the ground, and the next moment you jumped. That because something has to empty out, something has to change where you're static, and then to movement, right? So for those scholars who have read the fundamental verses of the Middle Way, Agartha Mula Madhumika Karikas, we know that we can't find the jumper or the jump or the effect, is that right? As a separate thing. And yet there's a jumper and there's a jump. So, but it's different than when we're understanding from a dualistic point of view, isn't it? It's that sudden like that. Then the path of meditation is that actual experience when you're in the air, so to speak, in the sky-like nature of awareness, because there's no going back. Once you've set it up and you've invited all the guests and you've rented the country club and you have the caterer and the flowers and you have the officiant, and then you say, I do, you've made the jump. And there's no going back. You can't undo that, right? Isn't that so? You can't go back. You can say, well, I made a mistake, but you can't or it's great, but you can't go back. So jump. And then that experience of in the air that's the real path of meditation. And finally, like, what would be the path of no more learning? So maybe I could stop there and see if some of you would be willing to take a stab at, well, whether you like my metaphor about the jump or not, what do you think would be the path of no more learning? So maybe you can stop here and take some questions or comments or complaints.
I'll guess
Okay.
if it's on. Floating or flying? For path of no more learning, once you're in there, floating or flying.
Floating or flying. Okay. Next. Thank you for your contribution. Yeah.
I think it is kind of like floating or flying. It's where you've reached a commitment point where you have momentum to move forward and you no longer need to learn what you've been working on in the past.
Okay. Thank you for your contribution. Just being neutral or Yay.
I don't like mics. I'd say enlightenment or waking up. So I have more to learn.
Okay.
Still.
Did you say I'm wrong? No. Yeah. No. Yes.
You've already, so you've already jumped, you already learned how to jump, you've done the thing, and now you're just doing it, right? So like you can, once you've learned how to dive, proper form, how to get yourself, into the water or jump off the board, you don't have to figure it out again and again. You're just doing it. If it's needed, you jump and it's not a problem.
Okay. Thank you for your contribution. I'm having a really good time today.
We're all going to try it. I think it's like the card you talked to us about earlier in meditation, right? So the currents don't fight. So you've already leapt. And so now I don't think there is a point of no learning. You're continually learning. You've gotten yourself into that place where it's just flowing freely through you, throughout you, and you're absorbing all of it, but you're not fighting. You're actively in the doing without feeling like you're actively in the doing.
Thank you.
You're just holding the mic, waiting for someone else to have something to say.
Ah.
Is it like emptiness? There is no you. There's no, it's like a unified field of emptiness.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah.
Any online takers?
Yeah, that's come on. Let's just say it.
Oh, Eli has.
I was just like with the diving, you're swimming, you're doing backstrokes. I don't know. Yeah, you're doing it. But
is this on?
Yep.
My grandmother in her broken English used to say, think 10, do 1.
I'll wade into this mess. Maybe the path of no more learning is you go back to the diving board.
Ooh. Wow.
Okay, I'll dilute this further. When you're in the zone or the flow.
Ella, did you want to say something? Yeah.
Namala,
We got
Yeah.
Charlotte online.
Yeah.
yes.
Go ahead, Charlotte.
Isn't the path with no more learning Buddhahood?
Thank you for your contribution. Let's have one more person from virtual land.
There is no diving board.
Andrew, we couldn't hear you. Could you try that again or type it in the chat?
There is no diving board.
So,
Well, it looks like we have someone else who raised
good,
their hand.
good, I'm
online.
waiting.
Right, Linda? Linda, go ahead and unmute and
Hard to do where I'm at, sorry. You've mastered the level of jumping off the diving board. There's no more learning there. You move on to the next level.
Okay, thank you. Should,
someone wants a second stab. at
okay,
it.
yeah, there's, there's second chances, sure.
You're not learning anymore, so now you're teaching.
Okay, thank you. I feel there's one more, before we.
Is it like training wheels on a bike? It teaches you what you need to do with a little extra support. So once you learn to jump, you no longer need the diving board.
Right, who's saying that? Oh, hi, yeah. Thank you. Hmm. Okay, do you want me to kind of Mhm. So a little bit from um, our text here. So reading from Pato Rinpoche's text. Who's familiar with Pato Rinpoche? Yes. Good. Just translating the path of non-learning. Through infinite light rays radiating from their own bodies, at the last moment of the 10th Bhumi, the Bodhisattvas offer to all Buddhas in the 3 times. By virtue of this, the latter bestow the empowerment of great light rays. The bodhisattvas overcome the latencies of the most subtle cognitive obscurations through great remedial wisdom, the Vajra-like samadhi, and become fully perfect Buddhas. Among the 5 paths, this is the one of non-learning. Since one does not train in any path again, the path of non-learning is fully perfected Buddhahood. Therefore, is the bhumi of all illumination, the 11th one. So everybody gave very good responses. You know, I wish everyone to have like that Vajra-like samadhi. So what would that Vajra-like samadhi be, right? What is that Vajra-like samadhi? So these are further things to clarify, right? My bit commentary kind of started at the beginning, saying, yes, we're transitioning at the 10th bhumi, no more learning to Buddhahood. But how do we see that happening? As we need to have like a Buddha, not only Buddha mind, but a Buddha body. And how is the Buddha body brought about? It is brought about through the working and the accumulation of positive resource states, otherwise known as merit, punya. So it's very interesting. Rinpoche's saying, through infinite light rays radiating from their own bodies, at the last moment of the 10th bhumi, the bodhisattvas offer to all Buddhas in the 3 times. By virtue of this, the latter bestow the empowerment of great light rays. The bodhisattvas overcome the latencies of the most subtle cognitive obscurations through great remedial wisdom, the Vajra-like samadhi, and become fully perfect Buddhas. So perhaps next time we talk, we can talk about what the Vajra-like samadhi is. But what's really interesting about this commentary is it ends, how Rinpoche does it is that's the offerings that then bring forth the Buddhas who bestow the empowerment like that. So the path of no more learning, we could say a little bit. Yeah, of course, Buddhahood and this effortless state, and going back to square one and enjoying the diving board, knowing there's no diving board, exists independently. But there's an experience of it's a gift exchange. Has to be that way. So that's what we're learning in the Tantra approach, is the way things actually work from a felt sense as interdependence is, of course, empty of inherent existence from its own side, and we just impute things, but the whole universe feels like a gift exchange. We're exchanging energy, it's like constantly. That's beautiful. It's very blissful. So we don't have to learn anything else from the standpoint of information, but we're definitely enjoying what I like to call our jump partners. Because Vajrayana is like a diving board into space, right? Or maybe Buddhahood is like you're jumping out of the airplane. But we do have a parachute, right? So, you know, we take a parachute with us. We're not, we have to take our skillful means, and we take the bodhicitta, and of course, we take our beautiful bodies of appearance, because it is only through our bodies and our speech that we're really able to communicate Dharma. So as Buddhas, we're willing for people to touch our bodies and hear our speech and be present and comment on our clothing and those things, like our office, and like, Lama, why do you do, you know, it's like, so Buddhas we allow ourselves to be shown, right? That's real Buddhahood. You're just like, here it is, like that. So the world of complete transparency is a big jump. Don't you agree? That's particularly why I like artists, because artists are willing to be in the show me world. And Vajrayana enlightenment, as we all know, is the show me world, the show up world. Isn't that so? So do we have any last minute discussions or contributions? We get second chance. People then can go, what I really meant to say was this. What I really, oh yeah, that's all right. What I really wanted to say was, you know.
So going back to the first path, though, what are we accumulating?
So you're accumulating the motivations and the insights and the exercises, so you can start making the jump.
And then is the path of preparation
What?
Practiced in tandem with accumulation?
Yeah, I mean, they're all going together. Yes, definitely. So, you know, like in recovery, we start thinking, sucks to wake up every day with a hangover. I'm gonna start, you know, I'm gonna think about, it's like, I'm gonna start, you know, going to a meeting or something like that. And then, you know, the path of, you know, preparation then is like, you're going to meetings, right? But
and how do I
it's not until there's a path of seeing,
get to realizing what,
you know, you really click in. You're really like, is that, you know, and then meditation is where we're doing it. We've taken the leap, you know, with that. So it's kind of a build-up like that. But they're all kind of recycled probably every day. Get up and go, oh, okay. Another, you know, like that. So it's not static. Be recycling, you know, it's like accumulating again, preparing and seeing, meditating, and then showing up. Once we've shown up, that's it. There's no more, right? Well, there is more in a sense, but like you've shown up in this kind of, you know, you got your sweater and it matches the blouse, or the, you know, what color is that? Yeah, fuchsia. Yeah. So there's no going back. You've shown up. You're shown up. That's it. You know, you go, look, this is, you know, like, I mean, somebody could say, well, why are you doing that? Or, you know, like, here, and this is it. You know, you get me. It's me. Yeah, you get it. Yeah, you just drink, you know, okay, you've shown up. There's no more re-showing up. You can come back tomorrow and do the leap all over again, but you're just like, this is what I got. That's like it. It's that way, but it's an offering. You're showing up as an offering instead of showing up aggressively or timidly. It's just like you're showing up. Who else wants to say something? Correct or incorrect is okay.
I have a nerdy question, Lama.
Okay.
So are the path, and I've read this differently, and maybe it's different in the thoughts of the schools, or maybe it's just a challenge from other systems.
Yeah.
Are the paths and the bhumis separate or in concurrence, or do you go through the 5 paths and then enter the 10 bhumis? Or what does our school say about them? Are they concurrent, like the Nyingma school, or are they separate?
So that's a good question. Depending on who you look at, you don't, but it's still kind of a little bit standard, that you're not hitting the first bhumi until the path of seeing. So you think, oh my God, and seeing is seeing emptiness directly. I think, oh, I'll never get there. We're like in the early 70s at, Karmadzang and Boulder, like, okay, to get to go to the next thing, you had to go like, okay, did that person reach the first bhumi? Like, how do you prove you reached the first bhumi? How do you prove, like, it was in a way, it was great tension. Like, okay, has that person realized, seen any glimpse of emptiness or not? And what, like, have I reached the first bhumi? But yeah, so I'm kind of making fun, but it's true that usually that's the first bhumi is the path of seeing. And then you're but even then you're still kind of like, you've maybe seen the top of the mountain, but you're not quite sure how to get there. So it's not until the 8th bhumi, irreversible or achala, that you're really you're totally on the path. Just complete certainty. So it feels like an impossibly high bar, doesn't it? Or doesn't feel easy. So it's kind of ironic, but everyone here has had glimpses of emptiness, but you didn't know it. So you missed it. Because you drove right by Dixon, because what's in Dixon? Well, it's a fruit stand, but you're moving too fast. You see, you drive right by it. You're moving too fast. So you saw like, oh yeah, okay. But I'm getting to San Francisco. I'm not going to go stop at Dixon. Because you think San Francisco is enlightenment, but you drive right past, the ordinary mind, right? So you slow down, and then that's why we have to do a lot of shamatha vipassana, mindful awareness practice, because, we're driving right by. Like, I see you guys, and you're driving, I slow down. And they say, well, we're going to San Francisco, okay. It's entertaining, right? I usually San Francisco, because it's always fun to go to San Francisco, where I'm thinking, I don't want to go to like Vacaville. Or even West Dixon. Is anybody from Dixon? I mean, it's nice. Sorry. But we drive right past it. You kind of go, oh, okay. It's laid out in the classical text very scholastically, for a number of reasons that teachers, even Maitreya Sangha, why was it laid out this way? I have kind of a Western scholarly approach, and then share that and we can close. Is we forget that in a way Buddhism in India was always a minority and kind of struggling for legitimacy and audience, and of course donations, right? But was took place in a very literate tradition with already highly developed competing yogas and competing philosophies going on. And even when the height of the monastery system, or with the patronage by some of the emperors like Ashoka and so forth, there was always a very strong debate system going on in India, and it was not like a totally Buddhist country the way Tibet came. Is that clear? So it's just like here currently, as Buddhism, to really get to the core of it, we have to talk medical and psychiatry and science and stuff like that. You know, this is a competition. You have to address it. So one way of not only just teaching followers, students, but creating a sense of legitimacy in the culture is like, you know, we've written a book, and we know how to argue, we know how to speak within a refined Sanskrit system. So you can take us very seriously. We've thought about these things. We're not just cooking them up, something like that. What do you think, Dirk? Is that true? A Sanskrit scholar? Maybe he's gone to lunch. I don't know. I just see his cat.
Hi, Lama. Yes, yep.
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, I think you're right about that. There was well, at that time, a little earlier, Buddhism actually dominated in the North, but at that time, at the time these texts were written anyway, there was a lot of, they had to interact directly with the culture and had to interact philosophically with the culture, and that stuff was all being done in Sanskrit, so they had to do it in Sanskrit. And they were into codifying and classifying things. So if you get this, you get a lot of grids to represent things that are natural, but natural things never really totally fit into grids.
Yeah, they don't. And yeah, thank you. And I also, when you have it gets popular, there are a lot of people making like spiritual claims and also wanted to know whether they're making any progress. So everybody likes to know, am I making progress? And have I actually had some realizations, or am I an idiot? So that's why that it's laid out sometime in this real kind of structure, because then there's a tradition and documentation to kind of bounce off of like that. So as things get bigger, religious traditions get bigger, and founders pass away, how do you establish legitimacy, not only with the outer culture, but how do you monitor people within the group and say, you know, here you're making progress here, or no, you're falling behind, or so they're also set up as, you know, the texts are like long psychological tests. Like, have you had this experience? Do you agree with this? And then at least there's some kind of checking. But as we know, you can also cheat on psychological tests. Because you read the books and then you go, okay, I kind of have an understanding of what that experience is, so then I've got it. And that can be dangerous too, right? So that's why we always want to have qualified teachers to check in with, who will say, yeah, that's a good, you know, generic conceptual understanding, but what about your actual lived experience? We need to have both. Don't you agree with that? We're coming to the end of our time. Hope this hasn't been too boring. Hope it's been useful. Let us dedicate the merit.
Due to the merits of these virtuous actions, may I quickly attain a state of a Guru Bhuva and lead all living beings without exception into that enlightened state. May the supreme jewel bodhicitta that has not arisen arise and grow, and may that which has arisen not diminish but increase more and more. In the land encircled by snow mountains, you are the source of all happiness and good. All-powerful Chenrezig Tenzin Gyatso, please remain until samsara ends. May the teachings of the Buddha flourish. May the upholders of the teachings remain forever. May all migrators achieve happiness, and may they fulfill all their temporary and ultimate goals. Losang, magical display of the deep awareness of all the victorious ones, merciful giver of a stream of profound and vast instructions to the fortunate migrators, please remain always unperishing, unchanging, unfading. Avalokiteshvara, great treasure of objectless compassion, Manjushri, master of flawless wisdom, Vajrapani, destroyer of the entire host of Maras, Tsongkhapa, crown jewel of the snowy land sages, Losandrapa, I make request at your holy feet.
Thank you, everyone. I encourage people, of course, to be both practitioners and scholars, and or at least some appreciation, right? I'm sure we've got very important announcements too, right?
Of course.
That's good.
Just to follow up on some announcements for meditation. If you're driving and parking in the parking lot, please make sure that you pull your car all the way forward to the curb. We have a lot more people coming, which is wonderful, but that means that if your car is pulled out even a little bit, it runs the risk of blocking the entire parking lot. The February 8th at 6 p.m., which is a Saturday, we have movie night again. Maybe you guys will come. It's a family-friendly movie. Should be a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun in December, so please come. And I'm going to pass it on to other people who might have announcements. Dirk, we have a Tuesday announcement. Or announcement about moon practice.
Oh yeah, for the lunar practice, I completely flubbed everything. I filled in the calendar based on I did it in December, and I was looking at a 2024 lunar calendar. So I had all the dates wrong. So Tuesday is actually we practiced it on Saturday because I had it on the calendar for Saturday, but Tuesday is the actual lunar day for the practice. Also, I wanted to say I'm sorry I won't be able to make it to Kala Chakra today because I have to make headway against the snow right around dusk, and that's when you're holding it.
I understand. You're still in Shambhala, don't worry.
Now it's on. Good morning, everybody. I'm Susan. I just wanted to remind you that on Saturday, I think it's next Saturday, the 25th. Yeah. I don't know. It's next Saturday, the 25th, is the Delic service meeting. So at 11 o'clock, and everybody is welcome. We are discussing the paramitas as presented in Chodron's commentary on Shantideva. And we're also talking about meditation, because that particular chapter that we're reading called Taming the Mind is about shamatha meditation and the intersection with service, the intersection with the Bodhisattva path. So you might find it interesting. Everybody's welcome at 11 o'clock next Saturday. And, I'm just looking around and, at this really diverse and large and wonderful community that we're creating here and online. And if, you feel that this community is important to you and that it meets some needs that you might have, that it is nourishing for you, we really invite you to contribute to keep this community strong, to keep this community growing. We've got a number of different ways for people to contribute. You contribute online for those of you who are unable to come to the temple today. There's Donna box somewhere in the back. It's very beautiful. So that's available for cash or checks or whatever. And Connor, why don't you pull that thing up? We have a new little kiosk that is available to use credit cards on. So, you know, yeah, I mean, this is new and we are just starting to use it. So I'm not exactly positive how it works. I know it's really easy. I probably use it with my hair. Say what? I think I probably use it at Starbucks and at my hairdresser. So you probably do too. So it's another way to contribute to keep this community growing and to help you.
I just wanted to put in a plug for the retreat that's coming up in April. It sounds like it's a long way away, but it's not, especially if you haven't put it on your calendar yet. So Friday afternoon, Saturday and Sunday, the 11th, 12th, and 13th, we're having a retreat. And if you haven't been, please think about coming. I know there are some of you that have started coming a lot more recently, and you really need to be there. I just end up with this feeling like that person needs to be at the retreat. And a lot of people that go to the retreat regularly, somebody had to twist their arm a little bit the first time, because there's sometimes a sense like, I don't belong there. I don't really know what I'm doing, or for whatever reason, but it's a very accommodating retreat. If you don't have money, that's fine. You can come anyway. If you can't come for the whole weekend, you can come for a day. If you have special dietary needs, we'll take care of you. It's just, if you liked, for example, the discussion today, just imagine that we get like 2.5 days of Lama talking to us, sitting around in a beautiful place, with good food, great people. So usually our retreats are about 30 people big. I really hope this time we have 40, because that means when Lama gives up 2.5 days of his life, 33% more people will be profoundly impacted. So if you've entered the path or taken refuge recently and you've not been to a retreat, feel free to come find me or anybody else that's been. How many people that have been to the retreat would recommend it? Yeah, so all those people, their hands up, probably have my contact information. So feel free to ask me any questions. And I think we're having another entering the path ceremony sometime. Okay, well, hopefully there'll be another one. Okay, but between now and April. So if you haven't entered the path and you're interested in the retreat, well, then keep your ears plugged for when the entering the path ceremony will be, because that's a little, stepping stone that shows you're a little bit interested and therefore qualifies you to go. So just really encourage you. We're so blessed to be able to do this. And I never know, is this going to be the last one? Or are we going to get to have another one? Who knows? But anyway, that's my plug. Thank you.
Hopefully many.
Many.
I'm making an announcement on behalf of my dear friend Jojo. He stepped up to, oh, Jojo, you're here. I thought you weren't here. Would you like to make the announcement?
So my number is on the bulletin board in the library space, the foyer. And please feel free to text me, maybe pictures of your animals too, but to join the cleaning team. So we just need to get a group of people and kind of track this and keep accountable, like the dust and the spider webs sometimes that accumulate, and making this place as a beautiful sanctuary like it is. So thank you all. All right.
If you do want to go on retreat and you talk to someone, make sure that if you've never been on a retreat, you do need to talk to a Lama and ask for permission. So there's some different things. Ellen would definitely direct you in that way when you try to sign up anyways. in regards to cleaning team and any other volunteer stuff, in the next week or so, there will be a blue binder that will be underneath the cleaning team schedule, baseball game, position stuff, where you can log your hours. It is totally voluntary. If you want to log your hours, we might get it together to send you a little certificate at the end of the year. In that binder will be dual purpose. So it'll have, hey, log your hours. Let's see what you're doing. Let's see how much time it actually takes to run this place, and give you a little thank you card. But it'll also have in-kind donations. So if you're taking it upon yourself to buy toilet paper, to buy just soap, to buy a new rake, or procure whatever may be needed, attach your receipt and we can give you an in-kind donation letter at the end of the year. You must attach your receipt. You must have it logged for us to do that. We're not going to give you money if you put it in that in-kind binder, though. It's not money. It's just a letter for tax purposes. What you do with that is on your own. If that binder goes missing and we don't have those receipts, we can't do anything about it. So protect that binder. And it's up to all of us to make sure that it's there. So that'll be there within the next week or so. Again, it's totally voluntary. If you want to do it, great. We'd love to know what everyone's doing, and we'd love to be able to thank you for it. It's just like the donations. It takes a lot to run this place, and it's really important that we all kick into it, and we'd like to actually know. So marbles for Tara mantras will be soon. Binder will be soon. Retreat soon. A lot of great things coming up. So thank you. I don't have anyone else, other announcements? No? All right. Maybe our closing music will be up in a moment.
Thank you, everyone. The Buddha world is just, cleaning and keeping, temple beautiful like that. It's the manifestation world, right? So that's it all. The Buddha world is the world of announcements. Yeah, we got it. All right, music, please.
Still don't know what I was waiting for. And my time. Omo araya patayana indi. Om araya patana.